live. I'm live. I'm live. Let me see if I'm getting some audio this time. And everyone hear me? 1 2 1 2 1 2. Good, good, good. Yeah, get that down there. Boom, boom, boom. Magical. Now let's see if people get back on here. Mr. Clean looked like. Oddly enough, I went as Mr. Clean to a Halloween party many years ago when I was in my 20s, and I got in a fight there. It was really weird. I was so glad. Now, this is why I was really glad. My girlfriend at the time had tried to talk me into going as a woman, and she would dress like a man. That was her idea. I'm not doing that. And I go dressed as Mr. Clean, which I get in a fight, and I was so relieved because all anyone would talk about was that dude was at a party dressed like a chick and he got in a fight. So that's all people would say, tell the story later on, not that it was Halloween or anything like that. So I'm so glad I went as Mr. Clean. All right. Who's all on so far? What do we got? 12 people. Only 3 likes so far. Yeah, you know, that's exactly what would happen. You know how people are. They would have dropped the whole Halloween part of the story. And yeah, that guy came to a party dressed like a chick and got in a fight. Not that there's anything wrong if that's your thing, you know. But yeah. First time being here, Jeremiah, welcome. Thank you. Hit that like button, everyone. What do we got? Gotta have more than 12 people in here now. Shows just 12. What the hell? We had like 82 before we had the technical problems. I think the technical problems were I have this hub where all my audio and my camera and my computer, they all meet in this little hub. Well, one of the main wire to the hub was a little loose. And I think when I was moving my desk around, it came loose a little bit. So the camera wasn't getting charged. It was just a nightmare. I follow your content. States, great stuff. Well, thank you very much. How do you get information for those videos? Well, I use the US Census a lot. Over the years, I've learned how to just get through that. I've also learned how to work my way around different state and community websites. So a lot of my information comes from that. Sometimes I will use like ChatGPT to find articles, and then I read the article and I get the information I need from there. ChatGPT can be used to find things. That's how I see it. It's like a giant librarian to me. So that's how I use it. But most of my information is going to come from the Census Bureau's website, different real estate websites, and of course the FBI for crime and stuff like that. But I'll get into I'll get into the Department of Housing, find information there. I've been doing this a long time, so it's like second nature to me to go to those websites and find the information I'm looking for. Never moving, huh? It's always good. You know, what's funny is I pretty much had settled in Oregon. You know, I mean, there's thoughts about going to Washington, and I'd wanted to go to Pennsylvania, but, you know, I'm pretty much sure I'm going to be in Oregon the rest of my life. But I still love to look at things and learn about towns and think, well, I could live there. And, you know, sometimes I play with it in my head a little bit. So I watch channels that do documentaries on towns and stuff like that all the time. I love that. Kodiak, Alaska. So, well, first of all, I'll tell you my first thought on it. Um, is when I was young, I heard about Kodiak bears, and I just imagined that they were like 30 feet high in my head. So I'd heard they're the biggest Alaskan bears, or they're the biggest bears, and so that always freaked me out. Then when I found out there was an island, I imagined that it was just this island of all these massive bears, and I never wanted to go near it because I didn't want to be turned into a meat grinder. But that being said, it's a little too remote for most people these days. It's let me get some stats on there. Oh, Kodiak, Alaska. Yeah, when you're a kid, it's like I read something about the Bears, and I saw there was a town there, and the imagination just goes. The cost of living is pretty high. Obviously, it's going to be that way because of just it's so remote. It's hard to get stuff there. So their overall cost of living is 25% above the national average. Groceries are 23% above, and then housing's 41% above. Uh, After that, everything's okay. I mean, you got health and safety, meaning they've got enough doctors and clinics. Let's see what they got there. They don't list any of the hospitals, but it says they got hospitals and pharmacies and a few clinics. So that's plus. Schools get a C plus. That's still pretty good. Employment. Their income per capita is 4% above the national average. You kind of have to have that when your cost of living is so high. Average annual housing income is 28% above the national average. Well, that's pretty good. Median household income is $103,000. The national average is $81,000. So Kodiak, I'm totally into it now. I've been to a lot of Alaskan cities. I've never been to that one or even that island, but I would love to go. But if you get in there, it looks nicer than I thought it was going to look. I expected a lot of dirt roads, but no. So sometimes in Alaska, especially when you get to the more remote areas, you're going to have homes that are kind of like pieced together. And you get a whole lot of dirt roads, even though there might be a city. This one looks pretty damn good. The homes look older. The grocery store, place like that looks nice. Older, obviously. They just don't turn over buildings and homes in a remote area like they would, let's say, if you're living in Los Angeles. So, wow. Kodiak, Alaska does not look like a bad place to live, to tell you the truth, just for the looks of it. The stats seem pretty good. Last year, the local bank had a help wanted sign. They got a Subway. Not bad. This is going on in this little mall here. We got plenty of apartment buildings too. So even though it's remote, it's not just you got to have a house thing. There's plenty of apartment buildings here. Yeah. Not bad. A lot of cargo comes in through here because it's got to go through the whole city. Wow. Okay. So moving on. Kodiak, Alaska, I think it's kind of cool. Statistic and just poking around. Edwards Western Mojave. Thanks, Jeremiah. When is Chicago going to turn into its glory days? So I think a lot of the major cities are turning around. Now, believe it or not, New York City started turning it around about 20 years ago. If you remember the 70s and the 80s, it was just the whole city was just horrible, except for, a couple places in Manhattan. Even Manhattan was run down. But then you get to the 90s and things start getting a little bit better. And then by the 2000s, New York was doing really good. It's still incredibly expensive. But if you take a look at the stats from the 1970s and 80s and even into the 90s on what New York has going on right now, it's doing excellent. Now, if you compare New York City or Chicago to perfect, they're never going to be as good as what everyone's memory of the glory days is. But I think Chicago is turning the corner. Most people don't realize this. They do have a lot of murders. They do have a lot of crime. But when you compare that to the national average, because you go by rates, not the amount of murders. They do absolutely have the amount of murders, but they also have like 5 times the amount of people as the next one on that list. When you look at the murder rate and violent crime rate of Chicago, off the top of my head, last time I checked, they were somewhere around 25 or 30th ranked in the nation. Yeah. So places like Memphis and St. Louis were blowing them out of the water when it came to murder rate and crime rates and all that other stuff. So Chicago does have some sections, South Side especially, and a couple places on the West Side, but the majority of that city is actually a really good place to live. If you want to live in a city. If you're a rural, small town person, then obviously nowhere in that city is going to be good for you. But for people that want to live in cities, stay on the north side of Chicago or stay near the Loop. It's a good place to live. Will they return to their glory? I think they'll get better than what they are now. I mean, the world's attention's been on them long enough, so it'll eventually get to the point where they've got to do something. Hopefully they will. And I think they have been. All right. Missing a lot of comments here. And just so you guys know, all the super chats are going towards McMuffin, my pig's new home. Or not her new home. We have to redo her backyard because it is a disaster right now. And the price we got for it's a lot higher than we were expecting. So that's what we're doing. Los Angeles. Hey, Dave. I don't know what that is, but thank you for that little waving hand. I appreciate that. Any tips on moving to Eggville, Mississippi? I've heard of Eggville, believe it or not. Eggville, Mississippi. Why have I heard of that before? Let's take a look. Oh, Eggville's outside of Tupelo. Is that the one you're talking about, or is there's no town called Eggville? Eggville, unincorporated area outside of Shot. Oh yeah, that's a little tiny place, Eggville. So Eggville's a little stoplight, basically outside of Tupelo. Eggville. Some of the names. Midnight, Mississippi. There's actually a place called Guntown, not too far from there. Guntown, Mississippi. Guntown, officially the city of Guntown, is a city in Lee County, Mississippi. Part of the Tupelo. God, this place is really knocking out of the park with names. You got Guntown. You got Eggville. Bissell makes me think about my carpet cleaner. Wow. I love it when places have really unique names. What's the weirdest name there's actually a little town called New Site. It's an incorporated area. What's the weirdest town near where you live? Let me know. Got Biggersville. They had an R in there. It'd be Briggsville. I don't know what it is with people in the South, but when I was in the Army, I would get, people all the time call me Biggs or Riggs, not Briggs. They wouldn't add the two B and the R together. It was either one or the other. I don't know what it was. You also got Tuscumbia. I walk my dog. I go by a home that has a pig in the backyard. Yeah, I got one. Mine lives in my backyard and it's got its own room in the house. Actually, and we got a big giant family room. So my house used to be owned by a church and they did daycare here. So they put this funky extension onto it. So I have this back room that's got its own bathroom and it's huge. It's probably the size of maybe two and a half typical bedrooms. And in there is a walk-in closet that we put, like, it's all like rustic wood, and it looks like a little pen for her inside there. We have these super thick industrial mats that go around the whole thing, so she never goes to the bathroom. That's the thing people don't understand about pigs. They won't go to the bathroom where they sleep almost ever. There has to be I have to forget about her for 48 hours and she'll finally do whatever she got to do in her room. But at night, I've never she never had an accident, not once. And then I found out they won't. Using words is hard. Norwood, Young America. Oh, really? Huh. Is there an Army word for jail that sounds like? Yeah, there is. That's the brig. The Army is the stockade. The Navy is the brig. So if you go to jail in the Army, you're going to the stockade. Take them to the brig is what they say on naval ships. What do we got? Don't forget to hit that like button, everyone. We got 47 people watching and we got 27 likes. Really helps out the algorithm. And if you don't know, YouTube has made some drastic changes in recent months, and a lot of YouTubers, such as myself, have taken a pretty good hit. So any help with the algorithm would be great. Tacoma's, I was down on Tacoma's waterfront 2 years ago, and it was pretty nice. Last time I'd been there, 92, 93, and it was only for like afternoon. And I remember it being kind of a shithole, but it looked really nice. I thought it was nice. So would they change? Well, basically, we're not totally sure, but they changed their algorithm to the point where, and there's a couple things that came into play. So they changed the algorithm and it really cut down our reach. And overnight, my channel went from getting, let's say, 150,000 views in a day over all my videos to making 75,000 in a day, 80,000 in a day, and it has stayed that way since probably late 2024. So all through 2025, my views and my income have been cut down by about half. So yeah, it's been a little bit of a struggle and this is not just me. It's tons of old YouTubers are talking about it. And, it's sent a lot of us to do other things. Like I started uploading to Facebook, didn't want to. I have this weird loyalty thing for YouTube. I mean, they've changed my life 100%. But, when they change, I got to adapt. I can't be loyal when, I've had to lay off 3 of my employees. It has gotten a little bit better. Things are a little bit better. I mean, now I'm down about 40% instead of 50%, but still. That brings me to another subject I want to bring up. Even though if you have any questions about a location, please, this is the time to ask me. That's what I'm here for. That's what we do on this thing. So let me know. But they're going to make some more changes, like for your monetization. I've had 2 channels that I've been working on and not really done anything to, but I planned on doing towards the end of the year, which we're almost there, to launch them and really focus on next year. Well, I got to do that sooner because they're changing the requirements. They're making it harder to get monetized. So my question to you, would you rather see me work on my channel Married to Mystery, which is about mysteries that happen in the United States? My wife's really into it. That's why it's called Married to Mystery. She'll be helping me with it and we'll be doing it. And then I have another one called God damn, I had it out here. I just gave it a name not too long ago. Anyway, it's about pop culture with Briggs, basically, and talk about things that happened in the past, anything from movies to just little World According to Briggs type video about things that have been in our lives and pop culture, maybe in our past, long time ago, or whatever. Not historical things, just like the Evil Knievel stunt cycle. That's the first thing I'm doing it on. Is some cartoons we had back in the 70s and 80s, things like that. What do you think would be more interesting? How much do you think is real with AI channels as now? I don't think the views are fake. I mean, there's a ton of AI channels that are buying views. That's why you have some AI channel that they're doing it to get the ball rolling for the channel. And then once they stop buying views, you just see their views drop. So I've had some people basically rip off my style of videos. In the beginning, they were literally taking my script, running it through AI, and just uploading my video again. So they put the kibosh on that. So now they'll buy a bunch of views, and then that gets the ball rolling, that gets them monetized, and then they quit buying views, and their average video goes from making 100,000 views to making 1,100. It might have been making 100,000 views, and it drops down to 1,100, 2,000 max. No, I'm not moving. We gotta change the McMuffins backyard. It's got to have a serious update, and then we're going to launch a channel about that one that my wife's going to. So we got the bill for it, or the estimate, a lot higher than we were expecting. So channel with my wife sounds interesting. Thanks, Miss January. Miss January 1. I love that. Go to channel. We're going to the channel. We're going to see what your channel's all about. You don't have anything on here. You should. Love the name, though. Miss January 1. Yeah, Jeremiah, that's the one thing is I now copyright all my scripts and my jokes that I make. So when they do, I could treat it like music, and I can have the video taken down, or I could just take their revenue from it if they're using my script. That's stopped a lot, but yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of thinking GA Nate, that's GG Nate, sorry. That's what I'm thinking too. The mystery is probably the stronger one, especially for financial gain. It'll get more views. One of the first ones I have, I got to tell you guys about this. There was an axe murderer in New Orleans back in the turn of the century, 1901, 1902, something like that. And this dude was going around killing people in the dead of night. Now, we didn't have video cameras, so there's not a lot of evidence or anything like that. First person he killed with an axe, and then he'd break into your house, grab something, and then go to your bedroom and kill you with that. So they didn't know what was going on. And then finally they got a letter from the killer, and he was complaining about not enough people were playing jazz anymore in New Orleans, and how he used to walk through the streets and just hear jazz music. Well, that freaked the entire town at the time, or city of New Orleans. And they said for quite some time, for a couple of years, every single night, people would be playing jazz with their windows open, open in case this guy walked by. He didn't think they weren't playing jazz. Yeah, we're gonna do. Well, DIY is a steep hill for us because my time, I have none. That's the roughest part. So and plus I'm not that good at that stuff. Gardening and excavating, that's not my thing. But yeah, I mean, I could. It's just that it's a matter of time for me. I honestly, right now, work in this office or I travel. If I'm in the office, easily I'm up by like 10 a.m. because I go to bed at 3. But I'm up by 10 a.m. I'm working by 10:30, and I get a little lunch going or something like that. But I will work in this office till 1 or 2 in the morning every single day. Now, if I were to use if I were to use AI to make my videos, yeah, I'd have all the time in the world, but I just can't do that. There's a lot of backlash now coming up. I mean, that's why I suffered a little bit is because I wouldn't use AI to make my videos. I mean, I did the thumbnails and stuff like that, and now I've gotten away from that. But I have no time for anything. I just it's one of those things where I gotta pay for it. Is there a single state that has zero property tax? I don't know. It's the first thing popped up. There are no U.S. states with zero property tax. Every single state has them, whether it's at the state level or city level. And okay. So every single state has property taxes, and you can't escape them. And then on top of it, a lot of them have county and city. Now, the lowest, believe it or not, is Hawaii with 0.27%, could go up to 2.9% or 0.29%. Yeah, that's those are pretty low. Mine's incredible. I'm on the higher end. Oregon is at least. Property tax by state. The highest is New Jersey, and they're equal with Illinois, at least on the effective tax rate as of 2024, unless something changed. I guess mine isn't that bad. Where's Oregon? I just saw it. Oregon, 0.81%. Yeah, that's still kind of high. But yeah, the lowest is Hawaii, Alabama, Utah, Arizona, South Carolina, Idaho, Colorado, Nevada, West Virginia, Tennessee. And then on the other end of it, you go New Jersey, Illinois, Connecticut, Vermont, New Hampshire, Nebraska, Texas, Ohio, Iowa, Wisconsin, New York, Pennsylvania, Kansas, Michigan, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, Minnesota, South Dakota at 1% even. And then you start working your way past that to Maine, where it's 0.98% on down. Sad. I almost bought a property for $400 where lava flow happened. 2 hurricanes hit. Oh, that sucks so bad. Yeah, the taxes in Illinois are high. It's not just the property taxes. Wow, why is my let's get this lighting down a little bit more. That's better. In case you notice I have red eyes, total sinus season, it's horrible. All right, who else got some questions? What is the cost of living in New Mexico? New Mexico. Let's take a look at where it compares to the other states. So ranking states by lowest cost of living: Arkansas, Mississippi, Iowa. Where's my New Mexico? New Mexico. New Mexico's ranked 15th. Now, here's the downside. When you look at the best states overall, they're ranked 47th. But they do kind of excel when it comes to things like opportunity. Opportunity means, is there a future there for you? and that's pretty good there. Um, where their fiscal stability. Okay, so they're recovering, but their fiscal stability is their best thing for the entire state, meaning the state's got their act together a little bit. They're ranked 12th, so it's not bad. But all their other stats are pretty bad. But their cost of living, it's not the worst in the world. Could be way worse. Best states to live on Social Security alone, I would say Mississippi, Alabama would be your best bets. North Dakota too, and that's because there's a lot of programs drawing people in and giving retirees a lot of breaks. So now also keep an eye on a couple of things. There are a lot of states talking about in 2027, 2028 to phase out property insurance or property taxes for retirees. Anyone over 65, no more property taxes. You own your home, that's the thing. They paid their home, they don't owe the state for till the day they die, which I totally get. Are there jobs in New Mexico? Well, the opportunity kind of tells me they are, but when you look at no, I guess it's pretty good. They're ranked 23rd for jobs, so they're growing. Guess they're building some big casino resorts there too on the Indian land, but they bring in other people. So yeah, their jobs aren't terrible. Oh yeah, more than is there a place that taxes retirees? Yes, there's tons of places to tax retirees. Only a few states really cut some slack, like they don't do your Social Security, things like that. What state has the most BLM, which doesn't stand for Black Lives Matter? That stands for Bureau of Land Management, land. They can look for gold and other minerals. Ooh. I don't know. Recreational gold panning and casual prospecting are allowed on BLM land without a permit. You must use only hand tools and like pans, shovels, metal detectors to avoid active mining claims and cause only minor surface disturbance. Okay, so you could do it. You find a creek, you can pan for gold, stuff like that. But can you bring out an excavator, thing like that? No. They do have education system issues in Mississippi, but it is something they are actively trying to get better at. A couple of years back, they finally realized that one of the biggest problems the state has is they weren't that educated, and they were way behind as all the other states realized for the tech future we have, they needed a more educated workforce. Well, Mississippi kind of held out on that for the longest time. Oklahoma also did too. So now they're playing catch up. So they're getting better, but yeah, it's still got some problems. Paid your house off 14 years ago. Yes. And I believe once you hit 65, you should not have to pay property taxes. Ask Jeff Williams. Never even heard of him. Let's check it out. Ask Jeff Williams. Looks like a fun guy. Out roaming around the desert. There you go. Found an old plan. What an interesting channel. So 500,000 subscribers. Put up a video 5 days ago, only 13,000. 6 days ago, 30,000. 12 days ago, 148,000. Not bad. Hit or miss. So he doesn't have a ton of views, but they're all solid. I mean, most of them look pretty good. Yeah, it looks interesting. I might have to check him out. University of Mississippi, Ole Miss, that's where you go. Tip found no one pointing found green rocks are worth $0 a pound. Pigment. There you go. Hello, I'm 58. My wife's 51. Lived in Burbank, California, our whole life. Wife is from Torrance. Okay. Um, we both live in Ventura, but now priced out. So we're thinking South Carolina, Murals Inlet, not a bad. I would go to the inlet, North Myrtle. So this is the problem with Myrtle Beach. There's parts of the year where it's a great place to live, like 9 months a year. But it starts getting crazy. I mean, besides the spring break and the summer vacationers there, the town just goes apeshit. They also have a bunch of festivals. They have Bike Week, 2 of those. I mean, festivals are great. Don't get me wrong. I think they're an add to any community. Like they better the quality of life for a community. But when you're living there and you got to deal with the traffic, it can be a problem, and it is a problem. So I would go for the inlet. Let me see what that one looks like. God damn it. Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay. I know where that is. Well, I know the area. That's not bad. It's not the Outer Banks, but it's like South Carolina's Outer Banks type thing. A lot of golf courses there. Not a bad place to live. What high school did your wife go to? I went to West Torrance High. That's why I ask. What's the best place in the Northeast? Well, if you're looking for really low crime and nice places to live, Maine or Vermont. New Hampshire's quality too. All 3 of those next to no crime. I'd stay away from Connecticut, and Connecticut's a weird state. It's it's got some of the wealthiest neighborhoods and towns in the country. Absolutely. I mean, we're talking old money, new finance money from New York City. They own homes in these little towns there. But then it's almost like they have no middle class. And then they just go to people that are struggling. It's really weird. So most of the state is not a good place to live except for these wonderful communities. So that I wouldn't live in Connecticut ever. Rhode Island either. I would love to live in Pennsylvania, which is the Northeast. New York, upstate, quality. I think the Finger Lakes region is one of the most beautiful regions in the United States. Why does the South suck so much? So I have a lot of thoughts on that, but the South doesn't, they just were backwards for a very long time. They let the wrong politicians, I mean, run the South in an old way of thinking for a very long time. Yeah, if she went to West Torrance, I think my brother might be a little too old for to be in her class anyway. I think he graduated West. God, he's 54 now. So yeah, I'm not bald. I shaved my head. That's full head of hair right there. Not bald at all. As a matter of fact, I got done shaving it 10 minutes ago. So I don't have hair because I don't like it. When I was in the army, I'd shave it all the time because I was in the woods, I was in the infantry, and it just always there was always dirt in it, and it was just nasty. So I'm shaving my head. Then I took jujitsu for years, and you just get in the habit of shaving your head when you're doing jujitsu 5 days a week. So I just kind of stuck with it. But I'm not bald. I love Pennsylvania. I live in Pennsylvania. I own property in Pennsylvania. Got nothing on it. Yeah. I have a dog and I have a lizard also. A gecko, leopard gecko. That was handed to me when my son joined the Air Force. I'm like, okay, I guess this is mine now. Well, good for you, Holly. My wife doesn't mind. Matter of fact, anytime I grow my hair out, most people freak out. What are you doing? You don't look right. Last time I had hair was that went out over like, an inch, not even that, half an inch, was my wedding. After the honeymoon, I shaved my head and I haven't gone back since. That would take a lot, Jeremiah, that would take a lot of research. What's the cost of college there compared to their lowest price college in the US? I would have to really dig into that one. Don't have time right now. You have no choice to shave your head in the military. Yeah, you do have a choice. I mean, it's got to be short and it's got to be within regulations, but you don't have to shave your head. A lot of people will go with a flat top. Some people go the really, the sides are really, really short and then they just have a little on top they can comb over. Um, who's Ronan? Ronan is my son. You probably saw that. Yeah. Ronan is my son. He's the one in the Air Force. Medford or Eugene? I'd go Medford probably. A lot of people might argue that one with me, but I like that one over Eugene. What do I think about the Outer Banks? I think the Outer Banks is oddly relaxing. It just is. Something about it. Oh, I just love it. I am in my 50s. Oh, yeah, Yul Brynner. Remember him? My aunt, God, decades ago, she hooks up with this guy, and it's Yul Brynner's brother. This is going to be weird, but I remember it was Yul Brynner's brother, and ends up he needed to borrow some money from her and all this other stuff. Come to find out, he was just a con artist. I don't think she gave him more than a couple $100, but he needed $20,000 to do something. Have it back to her in a week, that type thing. Stay with the best seafood. Ooh, that's all up for debate. But I mean, if you like Alaskan king crab, you want to go to Juneau or something like that. But any place in Maine is going to get you great lobster, all kinds of good stuff. In Mississippi, Florida, I don't know. That's a rough one. Ooh, no, I don't think so. Eureka Springs is a very unique city, especially for their architecture. Louisiana's got great shrimp too. Crawfish. Yeah, I've always been the tennis ball type. I mean, there was sometimes when I was a stand-up comedian that I'd actually get the razor out and take it down really low. But that usually works just fine nowadays. It's a good town in Arkansas to retire. So up in the top northwest corner of Arkansas is one of the better places to retire in the United States. It's still relatively affordable. And it's not like the rest of Arkansas. Most of Arkansas is a total shit show, but this corner is pretty good. Rogers, Fayetteville, Bentonville, things like that. It's all up there in the top left corner. Great place to live. What's life? I think it's kind of boring. I had a friend from high school decades ago in high school, and then she moved up to Astoria before I moved here. And she probably left about 3 or 4 years ago. And I got the feeling she couldn't wait to leave. Every time I go up there, it just seems kind of dark, gloomy. And I mean, I have a good time. We get this nice, there's a Cannery Pier Hotel. It's a really nice hotel. We stay there occasionally, but that's when we just want to get away for the weekend and, just do some things up there. Nothing spectacular. There's a channel called Live a Little, friends of ours, and they took a cruise ship from San Diego that was going up the coast. Well, one of its stops was Astoria. And they're all, hey, we're going to be in Astoria tomorrow if you want to meet us up there. So me and my wife drove up there. And we went around, they got the Goonies house there, a few other things. It's kind of nice. Duluth, Minnesota, it's nice if you like to freeze. I mean, stats are decent. I just looked up a couple of weeks back. Good place to garden. Winter nature activities, cultural diversity. At least acre. I would look in Oregon. Mild to warm winters. I wouldn't say we're warm, but unless you go up in the mountains, you're not going to get a ton of snow. Matter of fact, last year I don't even think we got a dusting here in the Portland metro area. But if you look down south a little bit, Eugene, maybe even around Salem, go a little inland from them, you can find some really great places. And gardening in Oregon is amazing. There is a literal, what do you call that? Saying here. Couldn't even think. They have a saying here in Oregon. Shit grows in Oregon. That's what they say, because it does. I mean, I want it in California. If you want to kill your grass, you just let it die and then you tear it all up with a tiller or something like that. And it's easier once the grass is dead. You can't do that in Oregon because about the time it starts to look a little yellow, it starts raining and you're back to square one. I have done places about everywhere in the United States, just about. And I've done some on Sonoma and Napa. I did one about great wine places. And of course, that's going to be there. Man, that's a good question. So North Carolina's got a lot of really good places, depending on where you want to be. Do you want to be by the coast? Do you want to be out in the mountains? Give me a second here. I'm trying to think of these towns. Okay, so the area around Asheville, if you want to be in the mountains, pretty good. Like Waynesville is decent, Hendersonville, and then you've got Weaverville. You're also, if you move there, you're not too far from Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge in Tennessee, which if you've got kids, that's like an amusement park right there. You don't have, Dollywood's out there along with all this other fun stuff to do. So that's pretty good. If you want to go more towards the coast, the Outer Banks, if you could swing it, it's pretty good. Greenville in North Carolina is decent. You can get on the outskirts of there. That's pretty good. Now, if you want to go the inner, there's a lot of places, but Chapel Hill or the Wake Forest area are decent places to live. I would look at those. Apex is pretty good too. Just a YouTuber I know just moved to Apex. It's not in the city, but it's a suburb. There's a story. Dark and gloomy is, yeah. Well, it's okay, but still. Would you do a video on the best countries to live in? Done it several times. We're probably due for upgrade on that one, or redo on that one. Ohio versus Indiana versus Iowa. Out of those, it's a tough one. Indiana, I think, is a sleeper, especially I can't even think right now. Fort. What is it? Fort Wayne. Fort Wayne is decent, and that area, that's the biggest sleeper right now, especially for a young family. You got kids, they got good schools, the crime is low, it's affordable, housing is affordable for, when I say affordable, it's affordable for a really nice place. Is it rock bottom Mississippi backwoods affordable? No, but it's a decent place, and for what you're getting, it's very reasonable. So I love Fort Wayne, but in the end of the day, Columbus is pretty good. There's spots in Ohio that are decent. I think overall the winner's got to be Iowa, though. It's boring. Great place to raise families. If you're a remote worker and you're not needing a job, you can find a small town in Iowa and live happily ever after. Restrictions for building codes such as no, I have not done one that specific. One thing, when I create a video, I have to make sure it's got enough appeal for people to want to see it. Now, if I did one about building codes or something like that, I'd lose people. It might be interesting to some, but not enough to make it worth my time. Now, it might be something I put on a video if I'm talking about Chicago, but specifically to do one about building codes or cities with the easiest building codes or something, it wouldn't be worth it. Columbus, Ohio. How's the weather in Iowa? I mean, it's the Midwest. It's going to get cold, and their summers are going to be hot with a lot of mosquitoes, but it could be worse. Scranton, Ohio, or our bubble. Go to Honesdale. I love Honesdale. Love it. What's the best sleeper trades for people like plumbers? Now, going off of what an army buddy told me, Washington's pretty good right now. He's a plumber, has been for years, and he said they can't get enough plumbers up there. That's one thing. You also got states that are just building tons of property or tons of homes right now, and that's some of them has slowed down. 2 years ago, I would have told you head out to the Las Vegas area and you're going to get some work. That's slowed down a little bit, but still, you got places in the Midwest and the South that are growing again, especially South Carolina. South Carolina is a great option. I think Florida right now is in the middle of a slowdown that hasn't been realized yet in the stats. I think they're in the middle of that. But I'd say look at Utah, look at just about any place in the Midwest, and South Carolina, maybe even Georgia. Georgia's hot right now, too. Is Las Vegas road construction the worst in the nation? No. That's called New Orleans, Louisiana. Oh, you're talking about, what is the name of that town? It's still burning. It's the coal mine under town. Oh, my God. Centralia. Centralia is still on fire. Has been since 1962. This thing's been burning underground, and when everyone's done living there, that's it. So nobody could buy property there. As soon as someone dies or moves out, the state comes in, takes over the land, and that's it. There have been people that are still there that are allowed to be there because they own the property before it caught fire. Now, it wasn't 62 everyone left. No, it took years for them to get around to it. And I think all the people that have been there since like the mid 80s is when they said no more new residents. Yeah. No, it was actually, I'm sorry. Due to the fire, it was mostly abandoned in 1980. There were 1,500 residents at the time of the fire, and by 2017, there's only 5 people living there. God, I wonder if anyone's living there now. Centralia. Oh, yeah, there's one was taken. This is taken 25. November 20. No, I'm sorry. Can't even read. June 25. I see 3, 4 standing homes still. One on the outskirts. Two. Oh, that's a fire company. Never mind. So there's only 3 homes still standing in Centralia. Yeah, so pretty much no one lives there anymore. You got 5 people, and that's it. How sad. That's an interesting one. So, in case you don't know, Centralia, someone was throwing trash away at a dump, and for some reason, whatever they were throwing away ignited something in the ground. Well, the fire at the dump spread to a hole that they had that was an old coal mine. Well, the coal mine caught fire. And if you know anything about coal mines, they'll just burn till they're out of coal. They got a lot of coal down there. So it's still burning to this day. Uh, do I think nurse trades workers like HVAC and plumbers uh, or truck drivers can make about the same amount of money in which states? I don't know. I don't know the salaries of any of those things, so I wouldn't know. But I do know one thing: if you want to make money as a truck driver, move to the central part of move to the central part of the United States or North Carolina. If you're a nurse, you can go wherever you want. HVAC, I know nothing about it. Why don't I like Wyoming? Who said I don't like Wyoming because I stated facts? I tell you the stats, and I might tell you humorous stories, or I might make the video entertaining, but there's no place I don't like. One thing I don't like is when you have politicians that have been screwing over communities forever. I will talk trash about them. Mississippi is a perfect example. That's a state that has a lot of potential, always has, but they've never made the right moves to make it better for the people. That's my problem with Mississippi. Wyoming, I don't give a crap. I mean, it's not that I don't care enough about it to like or dislike it. It's just stats and numbers to me. Yeah, I don't hate anything. I don't dislike anything. I'm just telling you numbers, stats, facts, and interesting things I found out about the place, or sometimes my experience. Which, I mean, in my experience, there's places in California where was born and raised that I think are just total. They're horrible. Palm Springs is one of them. A lot of people go out there, but every time I've gone out there since, I mean, I had a girlfriend that her parents had property out there. We'd go out there when I was in 8th and 9th grade. That was fun, but sometime after the 90s, just ugh. Why are the people in Mississippi so weird? I don't know. Could be a lot of things. Mostly dating close relatives, I think, is their biggest problem. There are too many. There's not too much there. Just, yeah. West Virginia is maybe the prettiest state I've ever seen. So I'm with you on that one. Uh, West Virginia is an absolute beautiful state. They just held on to the coal industry for too long. That I mean, that's like we got coal, that's all we need. Then it's almost like they didn't plan for the future. They saw the writing on the wall, and they didn't do anything about it. They just kept going. Um, they didn't spend enough on education, and now they have a situation where even if an industry wanted to move in there, they don't have enough educated workforce to really bring anything big in. Sure, they can get some data centers. They got plenty of water there and everything else like that. But, you know, not like data centers take a lot of employees, but they need a lot of trade skills in the area that are employed by other industries that, I don't know, they haven't spent enough money on education, sadly. But beautiful state, they need to lean into eco-tourism. I like Charleston. I got some friends there. The radio station, WTSQ, I became friends with those people, Josh and Maya, because of YouTube. Actually, I'm doing a video on Oklahoma, and there's a whole area of that place where they tell you if you fish there, this whole portion of the state, don't eat the fish. All right, what time we got? We got 4:30. We've been doing this 1 hour. I think we're gonna knock this one out unless anyone has any other major questions, or if anyone has any super chats they want to lay down for us. What about Lexington, Kentucky? Lexington's weird. Lexington is not like the rest of Kentucky, but I mean, it's a good town. I mean, it's the state capital. They really put a lot of effort into it. What states have all 4 seasons? It depends on where you are in the state, but if you go someplace like Iowa, Indiana, Midwest, you're going to have all 4 seasons. Stay in the South, you got 2 seasons, summer and Christmas. Oh yeah, McMuffin. McMuffin is a good girl. Yeah, the water in Oklahoma is totally polluted. They got some areas that they've been cleaning up for decades that are just bad shape. That's how it is when you pollute your water and think it'll just go away. You've done a video on interesting coastal towns. I've done several on coastal towns. Most affordable. I think I did one on most unique. Things like that. What about Yellowstone? Yellowstone's a great place to visit. And the TV show's kind of cool too. I watched first season of Yellowstone, quit watching after that. Northern Arizona? I mean, Prescott and Flagstaff are pretty nice. Water is so important in Wisconsin at mild winters. Yeah. You get the lake effect big time there. Are you skipping? Well, Santa Fe is in New Mexico, if that's what you're talking about. Not Arizona, if you're talking about the last one. Well, thank you. I love that people do love my videos. Keeps me employed. All right, everyone, we're going to wind this down. I got some things I got to do, and I want to put up a video tomorrow. So I got to work on that a bit, and I've got some other things I got to do. Everyone have a great day. Be nice to each other.